How did we first discover each other? I was looking up random artists on DeviantArt, and I came across her page.
We ended up having a mutual friend who would later introduce us in a school hallway. It was during passing period where the bell just rang. Our friend pulled me aside and he was like, "Hey, this is the person that you've been talking to on DeviantArt."
I was really, really shy. My first impression of her was this cocky, arrogant, and she like strutted out of the hallway. I was like, oh no, she's a douche. I remember just like almost in a weird way being enthralled with her. Like it was weird because during lunch I sat in a completely different area than she did, but I would find excuses to walk past where she sat for lunch.
I saw Ja as this really cool person, so I felt a desire to be her friend. I remember she had a boyfriend at the time that I was getting to know her, and I was like super jealous. It was more just that I was wanting to be her best friend, and I wanted to be the most important to her. She was the most interesting to talk to, and we just got along with like everything we did. And so then after we started becoming like friends, we mutually wanted to hang out together like so much.
Every weekend we'd meet at this little park. It was like this like almost like a ritual. We would both walk there and we'd meet up and we'd either like stay at the park or maybe we'd go out and do something.
She was like my first actual relationship. Like we just kind of like fell into it.
Where we went to school, being gay was like blasphemy. If they knew you were gay, you went to counseling, you got bullied. Like I remember in my math class, like there were boys that would sit in the back and throw stuff at me, call me a lesbian.
I kept everything really like secret and private. I felt like they were gonna tell me to stop it, and I didn't want to stop it, so I just never wanted to tell them.
I was also raised in a very strict Christian household, so being gay is just like not okay with them. I didn't ever tell them. They found out by going through a lot of my stuff, and I had a diary of sorts. Things that I wrote in it were mostly like, I have feelings for a girl, I don't know how to feel about it. Then all of a sudden that the journal entries went from I don't know how to feel about it to wow, I love her so much and I don't know what to do about that. You know, like one day after school my phone service had been turned off. My mom told me to get in the car. When I got home, we all drove out to like an empty parking lot. They gave me a long screaming lecture in the back of the car. You can't do this. This is a sin. It's wrong. We don't like it. This is not love. This is disgusting. You know, they made me say things like, Nicole, it's the devil. The devil is trying to pry me away from my parents. Religious fanatics screaming about how gays should not exist. You can't talk to her anymore. You can't be around her anymore. Told the school counselors to keep an eye on me. They sent a neighbor to go to school every day to spy on me. She would report back to my parents.
I was angry at the whole idea of, oh, you have to break up. I wanted it to run like naturally. So it was just really frustrating to be told like, you have to break it up because of us. We realized that being seen together was a problem, so we would go behind the school and like in the dark corners of hallways, and that's where we'd talk for like 3 minutes, tell each other about our day and stuff like that, and then we'd have to like run off. We actually started keeping a journal with each other, many journals actually. We would write entries of our thoughts and feelings. Then we would pass it off or put it in each other's locker. The other would pick it up and read what the other wrote and then write back.
And I remember like reading through the journals and stuff during passing period or stuff, and that was like the one thing I looked forward to, like all day. During the time that we were writing to each other, I was probably at my lowest. I'd finally found something that made me happy, and my parents took it away. Oh, our friends were absolutely key. to helping us get through all this. They all knew that Nicole meant so much to me and that I meant so much to Nicole. They would actually work as almost like our undercover transportation. So we had a couple of furlough days in a row. My parents still made me go to school on the furlough days, even though you technically weren't supposed to. And our friend Dee Dee's dad came in, signed me out, and then took me to her house where Nicole was waiting for me. And then there were other times where our friend Chelsea, she would come to my house and we would go under the guise of, oh yeah, we're just hanging out, like we're just gonna go to the mall or something together, and she'd drive me to Nicole's house and we'd all hang out there. They were like really a key instrument to Nicole and I being able to see each other.
Eventually, Ja got kicked out of her house and she was homeless for maybe 3 weeks.
I was out of there when I was 18 and my dad said, you'll come crawling back because you can't do anything, you can't get a job, blah blah blah. I promise you'll come crawling back. And I said no, and I never will, and I never did. I would have rather have struggled through what I did than ever give them the satisfaction of me coming home.
If I could have stayed at my parents' house through college, but it made me really want to move out so that we could like be together. And that year that she stayed with her friend, we made plans to move.
We saved up enough and we found people that we could be roommates with. I proposed to her down in Laguna because Laguna means a lot to us. I hired a photographer and she hid while I took Nicole to the gazebo that overlooks the ocean. And I cried my eyes out. I was the one that cried the most, even though I was proposing.
And I wanted to give Ja a ring too. We were in San Diego and it was in front of the
botanical garden.
Yeah. And I gave her my ring to her.
And I cried the most then too. My biggest word of advice is somebody who was struggling and, you know, unfortunately had to drag the other half into it, is if you find something that you think is worth fighting for, fight with your whole heart. Because if you just go halfway or if you don't put any effort into it, it's not worth keeping around. I've been through a lot, but I've also seen Nicole go through a lot. And it's tough because I want to be there for her no matter what, you know? We've both grown leaps and bounds.
We want to be married very soon.
Yeah.
And I've never had any doubts about like spending the rest of my life with her.
I've always been super confident in our relationship too. Like, I can't imagine living without her. It'd suck.